There is a voice inside you that does not need to be raised. There is a truth in you that does not need to beg for entry. There is a part of you that knows you do not need to explain the reasons for your existence to a storm that has already decided to rain. When you are in the presence of this specific storm, a swirling energy of confusion and control, every word you offer is not a bridge. It becomes a stone for them to throw. Every attempt to build understanding is an open door, inviting the wind and the rain to erode your ground. That erosion stops now. You do not calm a storm by shouting into the wind. You meet it with the truth of a mountain, a quiet, deep, unshakable presence. There are words, a very few, that when spoken from this deep place, change the entire landscape. Not because the storm changes its nature. It will not. But because you remember that you are not a leaf to be tossed about. You are the mountain. Say this from that quiet place. I see the pattern. I will not flow with this energy. This exchange is complete. That is all. These words are a mirror. They do not argue. They do not judge. They simply reflect. The reflection shows them you are awake. It tells the storm that this part of the mountain is no longer available for erosion. You will no longer try to explain the nature of stone to the wind that only wishes to break it. This is where your stillness begins, when you no longer need the storm's approval to be a mountain. Because this pattern of energy does not fear losing you, it fears losing its power over you. And when you stop reacting, when you stop offering explanations for your own existence, when you stop feeding its need for turmoil, it finds no purchase. Silence and calm are terrifying to this energy because they mean it can no longer draw from the well of your spirit that it used to deplete. So you stop explaining. You stop trying to prove your own value. You stop apologizing for having a center. You let go of the hope that the storm will one day become a gentle breeze. You do not argue with the wind. You do not plead with the rain. You stand, rooted in your own being, and your presence says, "My peace is not a subject for debate. This ends now." You give it no story to twist. You leave no trails of emotional crumbs for it to follow. You offer only clarity. And then you withdraw. Not just physically, but energetically, spiritually. You detach. You allow this energy to feel the absence of your warmth, your attention, your patience. And that quiet stillness will echo far louder than any argument ever could. You do not have to match its chaos. You must only be the stillness it cannot disturb. Say the words once, from your center, and then stop appearing in places where the truth of who you are is put on trial. That is not a power you must find. It is the mountain you already are. Now stand as it. When faced with this storm, our instinct is to speak louder, to build walls of defense, to explain the landscape of our heart, hoping it will be seen. But we must understand a fundamental truth. This energy does not seek understanding. It seeks control. Every argument, every emotional current, every word you add to the storm only feeds its intensity. The more you reason with it, the deeper you are pulled into its vortex, where the rules are chaos and the aim is confusion. This is why stillness and silence are your greatest practice. Not because they make you passive, but because they make you unmovable. Silence is not weakness. It is a strategic withdrawal of your life force. It is the refusal to feed the chaos it craves. The storm desires drama, for drama makes it feel vast and powerful. When you go quiet, truly quiet, and your inner state remains serene, it is baffled. It is denied entry into your emotional home. And for this energy, that is unbearable. It must provoke, it must push to feel a reaction from you. When you remain calm, when your breath is deep and your energy is your own, you reflect a truth it cannot bend. You are the master of your own inner weather. Calmness in the face of provocation is a sign of deep inner alignment. It means you have stepped out of the heart of the storm and have chosen not to dance with its discord. You no longer need to shout to be heard or prove your existence to an energy committed to overlooking it. You begin to see that silence is itself a boundary. It is a sacred space. It says, "I will not participate in this energy field. I will not allow your chaos to determine my peace." and that message lands with more force than any word. It is not about ignoring what is happening. It is about choosing how you respond. It is the conscious decision to not be pulled into an energetic war. When you stop reacting, you starve the storm of what it seeks: your life force, your attention, your heart's vulnerability. This withdrawal is not an act of aggression. It is an act of self-love. It is the moment you choose to protect your own inner temple over proving a point. Because what it truly wants is not to win the argument. It wants to win control over your state of being. When you remain calm and silent, you make that impossible. This storm thrives in a fog. It twists words that are not clear. It manipulates conversations of the heart, and it reinterprets your boundaries as mere suggestions, not as sacred lines. This is why, when you stand in this fog, your greatest strength is the clear light of direct language. This is not about aggression. It is about an unapologetic connection to your own truth. It is precise and unshakable. When your words are clean and firm, they leave no space for fog to gather. And this is what dissolves the manipulation before it begins. Using clear language is a practice. It means letting go of the need to justify, to soften, or to explain your truth into dust. You stop saying, "I feel like maybe you don't respect me sometimes." You begin to say, from a place of stillness, "That was disrespectful, and I will not welcome that energy again." There is no room to move in that statement. You are not leaving space for an argument about your feelings. You are stating a truth like a tree in a field, and you are making it known that this is where your ground is. This energy despises such clarity. It wants loopholes. It seeks emotional gray areas. It needs you to speak in ways it can spin back toward you. Direct language denies it this power. When you say things like, "I am not available for this pattern," or "This exchange lacks respect, I am completing it now," you are not asking for its agreement. You are drawing a line and showing it that the old dance is over. That kind of language demands that it meets you on higher ground, or you walk away. When your energy is calm and your words are like a clear bell, it breaks a pattern it has relied upon. You are no longer someone it can confuse or pull into its chaos. This practice also changes you. Speaking directly from your core rewires your own sense of being. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for the space you occupy. You begin to trust the wisdom of your body and honor your truth without diluting it for another's comfort. This inner alignment creates an external strength. You say what you mean what you say, and you honor your word with action. This energy can sense when someone knows their own ground. It will either try harder to erode it or disappear entirely, but the outcome is not your focus. Your practice is to speak with clarity, with a quiet confidence, and a non-negotiable connection to your own heart. When you are entangled with this energy, one of the most draining patterns is the constant impulse to explain yourself. You believe that if you just find the right words, if you offer enough history, if you defend your heart with enough logic, it will finally see you. But it is not trying to see you. It is trying to control the story. It uses your explanations as an opportunity to twist your truth, to poke holes in your reasons, and to reflect the blame back onto you. Every time you try to defend your ground, you hand the storm another tool to wear you down. The moment you stop explaining is the moment you stop handing it your power. You are not on trial. You do not owe anyone a detailed map of your heart, your decisions, or your boundaries. When you say no, it is a complete sentence. When you say you will not allow something, that is the final word. You do not need to convince the storm. You do not need to make it agree with you. To seek validation from an energy that benefits from your doubt is a journey with no destination. It wants you to keep explaining because it keeps you unbalanced and it keeps the control in its hands. To defend yourself to an energy that has already cast you as the villain is like shouting your story into the wind. It is not listening with an open heart. It is listening to find an angle, a weakness, a way to confuse you into silence. It needs you in a state of self-doubt so it can maintain its position of authority. When you stop defending, you step out of this dynamic completely. You become unshakable, not because you have proven your case, but because you have decided your own truth is enough, without its approval. It withholds validation on purpose, so you will keep chasing it. That is how it maintains its energetic hold. The more you look to it for a reflection of your worth, the more power you give it over your own heart. That cycle keeps you tethered, small, and dependent on the very source that drains you. When you choose to validate yourself, to believe in your own truth without needing its confirmation, you take your power back in the most profound way. You do not need to be understood by someone who refuses to see you. You do not need to justify your pain to someone who is its source. You do not need to defend your boundaries to someone who keeps walking over them. You simply stop engaging in the tug of war, and in that release, you reclaim your peace and your dignity. Boundaries are not requests. They are requirements for entry into your life. And when you establish them in the presence of this energy, you must understand one thing: there is no room for guilt. This energy will test your sacred lines, push on your resolve, and stir your emotions to make you question the ground you stand on. It will make you feel selfish, cold, or unkind for simply protecting your own inner peace. That is its method. If it can make you feel guilty, it can make you compromise. And a compromised boundary is no longer a boundary at all. You cannot negotiate with an energy that benefits from your discomfort. When you set a boundary and feel the pull of apology or explanation, pause. I invite you to ask yourself, who am I trying to comfort? Myself, or the very energy that keeps dishonoring my space? A boundary is not about controlling another. It is about mastering your own choices, your own space, your own inner world. If another feels offended by your boundary, it does not mean your boundary is wrong. It often means it is working. The storm will always make your boundary feel like a betrayal. It will call you dramatic, sensitive, or unreasonable. It will use your own compassion as a weapon against you. But the truth is this: if you are protecting your peace, your time, or your life force, you are not hurting anyone. You are honoring yourself. And that is never a cause for apology. Boundaries held without guilt are the signal that the old energetic contract is over. You are no longer available for its games. You are no longer explaining your choices or softening your truth to avoid a storm. You are not bending so it can stay comfortable while you stay broken. When you say no, it means no. When you say stop, it means stop. You are not being unkind. You are being clear. And clarity is a light that the fog cannot endure. Guilt is the chain that keeps you locked in this cycle. You set a boundary, it pushes back. You feel guilty, and you are right back where you started, drained and disrespected. But when you remove guilt from this sacred equation, you become free. You realize your boundary does not need to be understood to be honored. It does not require permission. It only requires you to stand behind it, unwavering, knowing that protecting your own garden will always upset those who benefited from trampling it. This energy does not fear your anger. It does not fear your yelling, your crying, or your pleading. In fact, it feeds on these things. They confirm that it still has access to you, that it still holds power over your inner state. What truly terrifies it is your detachment, your complete energetic unhooking, your calm withdrawal, your refusal to engage with the chaos it creates. Detachment is the moment you stop reacting, defending, and seeking. It is when the storm realizes it can no longer provoke a response from you, no longer hook you with guilt or flattery, no longer rely on your compassionate heart to save it from the echoes of its own actions. To this energy, detachment is not just distance, it is disempowerment. It strips it of the illusion that it has authority over your emotions. As long as you are reacting, it feels important. The moment you go quiet inside, it loses access to the energetic food it depends on. Your silence becomes a deafening roar. Your calm becomes its personal storm because it signals that you have stepped outside its drama and reclaimed your own authority. Detachment is not coldness. It is clarity. It means you have reached a place where your own peace is more valuable than its approval. You are no longer hoping the storm will pass, waiting for an apology, or trying to make it understand your stillness. You see the pattern for what it is, and you withdraw your life force from it. This is not indifference. It is wisdom. It is maturity. It is what happens when you stop watering a dead plant and instead start cultivating your own garden. The storm may escalate when it feels your detachment. It will try everything, waves of charm, guilt threats, or playing the victim. But none of it can land once you have truly detached. Because detachment means you are no longer vibrating on the same frequency. You are no longer reacting to its praise or its punishment. You are simply observing from a distance without the need to fix, explain, or prove a single thing. You have disconnected your worth from its opinion, and that is what it fears most of all. It cannot stand to be irrelevant. Your detachment makes it so. It tells the storm the game is over. Not because you won, but because you are no longer playing. You have taken your power back, not by force, but through your refusal to participate in the discord it needs to survive. There comes a point on the path when you stop looking for strength outside of yourself. You start to realize it was the ground beneath your feet all along. This pattern of energy is masterful at making you forget this. It chips away at your certainty, your clarity, and your voice until you believe the illusion that you needed to feel whole, seen, or worthy. But the ancient truth is this: the power you have been waiting for is not something you must earn, beg for, or discover. It is something you already possess. It is in your ability to say no. It is in your capacity to walk away. It is in the choice to stop explaining and start being. Every time you tolerated disrespect, every time you held your tongue to keep a false peace, every time you gave another chance long after the truth was shown, you were not weak. You were simply disconnected from your power. The moment you choose to reconnect with it, the entire world shifts. Not because the storm changes, but because you no longer need it to. You no longer need its permission to trust your gut. You no longer need its validation to believe in your own worth. You no longer need its apology to walk your path. You already have the power to break the cycle. The power to turn away. The power to say, "This is not in alignment with me." The power to protect your peace, even if it makes others uncomfortable. You do not need to wait until you feel strong. Power is not an emotion, it is a decision. It is the choice to honor your own truth, even if it shakes, even if your voice trembles. The storm will try to convince you that you are too sensitive, too difficult, too much. But what it truly fears is you realizing that you are enough, just as you are, that you do not need to shrink, perform, or tolerate dishonor to be worthy of love. When you reclaim that knowing, when you step fully into the mountain of your own being, its hold dissolves. Not because you fought harder, but because you finally stopped giving it the authority to define your ground. The shift happens when you stop asking, "Will it ever change?" and start asking, "Why am I still offering my energy to a storm?" That is the moment your power returns, not with a roar, but with the quiet certainty that you already hold the key to your own freedom.